All right, today we are diving into an absolute classic, Peter Lynch's One Up on Wall Street. This is the book that told millions of regular people, hey, you can beat the pros at their own game. So how on earth did he think we could pull that off? Well, the subtitle pretty much says it all, doesn't it? How to use what you already know. It's such a bold claim. The idea that your everyday life, your job, your trips to the mall, could be your secret weapon for investing. Lynch basically argues this isn't just a fun idea, it's your single biggest advantage over all the experts. So let's start with the big hurdle that Lynch points out. For most of us, Wall Street feels like this distant, complicated machine, right? Like some mythic monster that's designed to keep us out. But Lynch's first mission is to just tear that whole myth down. I mean, it feels like it's designed to be intimidating, with all its jargon and the crazy pace. It makes you feel like you, the amateur, are always going to be the last to know and the first to lose money. Lynch's whole point is that this feeling, it's a myth. It's been carefully constructed. And you have to remember, this wasn't some academic in an ivory tower writing this. Lynch himself came from a family that got burned by the Great Depression. He got it. He understood that skepticism because he literally grew up with it. He knew exactly what it felt like to be on the outside looking in. And here's the big twist. Those professionals inside that exclusive club, they aren't as free as you think. Not even close. They're often forced to buy big, famous stocks, they're not allowed to invest in smaller companies, and they're terrified of looking stupid in front of their bosses and peers. This groupthink creates these massive blind spots. And that, right there, is where your opportunity is hiding. Okay, so if the pros have these huge blind spots, how do you actually take advantage of them? This gets us to the absolute heart of Lynch's philosophy, finding the power you have as a regular individual investor. Now, I know this sounds like the setup to a really bad joke, but it's actually one of the most famous investing stories ever told. It's the story of Legs Pantyhose, and it illustrates your hidden advantage perfectly. The big discovery didn't come from some complex financial spreadsheet. Nope, it came from Peter Lynch's wife, Carolyn. She was out grocery shopping and saw this new product, Legs, packaged in these little colorful plastic eggs. So she tried them, realized they were way better than the competition, and then she noticed women were just piling them into their shopping carts. The proof was right there in plain sight for anyone to see. And the logic behind it was so simple, and that was its power. Legs were better quality, and they were sold where their main customers actually were, the supermarket. This distribution was a total game changer. Millions of regular people had first-hand proof that Legs was a massive hit, literally years before the Wall Street analysts even started paying attention to the parent company, Hanes. And this, right here, is the perfect definition of the amateur's edge. You are an expert on what you buy, what you see at work, what your kids are obsessed with. That knowledge from the front lines is an information advantage that no professional on Wall Street can ever replicate. Okay, so you've spotted a great product. Now what do you do? Well, Lynch gives us this fantastic checklist for finding the kinds of companies that tend to become huge winners. And a little spoiler alert, they're almost never the ones you hear about on the news. Lynch's rule is super simple. He loves boring. A company like Crown, Cork, and Seal makes, well, cans and bottle caps. Nobody is talking about that at a dinner party, right? Which means you can often buy it before it gets super expensive. On the flip side, a company with a flashy name like Advanced Microfusion Devices in a super hot industry, it just attracts tons of competition and hype, which drives the price way up way too fast. So this leads to his checklist for the perfect stock. He loves companies with dull names, that do something dull, or even something kind of gross, like waste management. Why? Because nobody wants to own them or talk about them, so they're often overlooked and undervalued. He loves spin-offs, these little divisions of a bigger company that are set free to innovate and grow like crazy. And he really looks for businesses people have to keep buying from, like medicine or razor blades. That creates a super reliable stream of money. The common thread here? It's all about finding fantastic businesses that everyone else is ignoring. All right, now for a really critical warning. Because even great companies can make some truly terrible mistakes. And Lynch came up with a brilliant term for the most common one of all. Diversification. I love that word. It's what happens when a successful company gets a little too cocky. It thinks, hey, we're great at making shoes, so we must be great at everything. So it starts buying up totally unrelated businesses, usually paying way too much for them, and ends up running them into the ground. Just look at the difference here. Melville was a shoe company that smartly diversified into other retail businesses it understood, like clothing stores. It created synergy and the stock soared. Then you have Genesco, another shoe company that just diversified all over the place. Its earnings collapsed, and the stock never, ever recovered. One company built value, the other one just torched it. So if diversification is the dumb move, what's the smart alternative? A lot of the time, it's just buying back its own stock. It's a huge vote of confidence from the management team. By reducing the number of shares floating around, it automatically makes every single remaining share that much more valuable. And the impact is just night and day. When Chrysler was making a comeback, it used its extra cash to buy back a ton of its shares, and as Lynch puts it, the stock went through the roof. Navistar did the exact opposite. It printed tons of new shares just to survive, meaning each share now represented a much smaller piece of the pie. The business eventually got better, but the stock, it never recovered. Okay, so let's wrap this all together. The big message isn't to just go out and blindly buy stock on your favorite pizza place. It's to use your personal or professional knowledge as the starting point for some serious research. And remember, this really does apply to everybody. Whether you work deep inside an industry or you're just a customer, you have a unique viewpoint. The person working at the gas station, the photographer trying new editing software, the teacher testing out new programs for school. They all have an edge. They can all spot trends way before Wall Street has a clue. It all boils down to this really simple path. First, you spot the legs or the Taco Bell in your own world. Then, a quick Google search can tell you if the company is public. But, and this is so important, that's just the beginning. As Lynch warns, a great product can't save a company that has a terrible balance sheet. The story is the start of your research, it is not the end. And that's really the ultimate idea from One Up on Wall Street. A 10-bagger, that's Lynch's term for a stock that goes up 10 times in value. It might not be hiding in some complicated analyst report. It might be the coffee you drink every morning, the store you shop at, or the software you use at work. The only question is, are you paying attention?